Do we want to lead a life that strengthens us and others, or do we want to only focus on what weakens us and others? Do we want to help our children, partner, parents, friends to turn their innate talents into strengths? Do we want to be a manager who helps our teammates discover their talents in order to help them proactively acquire knowledge and skills to capitalize on these talents? Or do we always want to catch their weaknesses? Weaknesses are often referred to as areas of developmental opportunity. But where can we make the biggest developmental jumps and improvements and the biggest contributions in our professional and personal lives is not in our weaknesses but in our natural talents, meaning our natural way of feeling, thinking, behaving. Of course, natural talents need investment in the form of acquiring knowledge and skills to build on those natural talents. And this talent investment leads to strengths, meaning our ability to consistently perform near perfect performance productively. Many people find it easier to recognize the strengths of others rather than their own strengths. As a result, most of us do not consistently build our lives around our strengths. Instead, we spend a lot of time and energy trying to repair perceived flaws, while our real strengths lie dormant and never get activated. We would not enjoy Mozart or Shakespeare if they had not invested in their natural talents with the help of others. Thehrdirector, the father of modern management, stressed that a person can only perform from strengths. One cannot build excellence on weakness. Therefore, the question is simple. Do we want to achieve excellence? Or is it good enough for us to be just average? Or is it good enough to just survive? Don Clifton, the creator of the Gallup Strengths Finder, said, "What will happen when we think about what is right with people rather than fixating on what is wrong with them? The key is to fully understand how we can apply our greatest talents and strengths in our everyday professional as well as personal lives." Listening to Thehrdirector and Don Clifton made immediately sense to me, particularly given the abundant evidence throughout the world that a strengths-based approach significantly increases the level of staff engagement, resilience, and productivity. A strengths-based work and life does not mean we ignore our weaknesses. Weaknesses can be overcome with the help of our strengths, provided we are aware of them. And of course, we can also partner with somebody who has a strength where I have a weakness, and vice versa. So it's very important to realize that we have our strengths not only to strengthen ourselves, but also to strengthen others. Do I want to strengthen my teammates? Do I want to help them to increase their engagement, resilience, productivity, and quality of life? The answer for me is a resounding yes. Strengths should not be perceived as another program or another HR initiative. Therefore, it requires the broad buy-in from staff. Two competent Gallup strengths coaches came to our office in Copenhagen and trained 12 colleagues one full week from various departments in order to become strengths coaches. Diversity in the selection of strengths coaches is very important. And by diversity, I mean geographic, cultural diversity, gender, senior, mid-level, and junior staff, personal credibility, a real passion for strengths. They should also be, of course, an effective communicator and facilitator and an empathetic coach. There are always people who are skeptical about a concept they hear about the first time. There are still a lot of people who are convinced that in order to get better and improve, we need to mainly or solely focus on our weaknesses and fix those instead of building on our natural talents to turn them into strengths. Giving staff credible survey data in this regard is crucial. It has an impact on them when they hear that staff who have the opportunity to use their strengths at work, they are 6 times more engaged at work, 10 times more productive at work, and 3 times more likely to have an excellent quality of life. When it was announced that we would share the top 5 strengths of our StrengthsFinder results with all teammates, some colleagues were not immediately comfortable. Somehow the association was made with sharing 360 results. It took some efforts to make it clear that nobody needs to be afraid of their strengths being shared because there's a fundamental difference. The 360 also includes weaknesses, but sharing our top 5 strengths is only about sharing our strengths. All staff shared their top 5 strengths, including leaders and managers. It has a big impact on staff when they witness leaders and managers having their own strengths awareness moments. And when leaders share their strengths revelations with the entire workforce, this has a significant trickle-down effect on staff at large. Some people may perceive focusing on strengths as boasting. Strength is not only about strengthening yourself, but about strengthening others, your colleagues, your teammates. And that is a wonderful gift to give to your colleague. And not wanting to strengthen others is not boasting. On the contrary, it's selfish. Is it boasting to make proactive efforts to find out about your strengths so that you can strengthen not only your teammates in the office, but also your children, your brother, your sister, your spouse, your friends? Community-based cultures become stronger when the community members strengthen the community with their complementary strengths. Is it boasting? No, it's generous. It means a lot to staff when they realize the strengths insight they receive from the organization is also greatly beneficial for their personal lives during and after their service with the organization. Caring managers are those who help staff to discover their strengths and then deliberately and proactively assign tasks to them with activities that strengthen them. A caring manager would try to relieve you from those activities that weaken you and would reassign those activities to any of your teammates who feel strengthened by what you feel drained. A caring manager knows that when you have the opportunity to spend every day at least 20% of your activities on your strengths, you will be more engaged, more resilient, and more productive in your job. A strengths-based managerial approach will also significantly increase your well-being and quality of life. Strengths are very important in the context of performance management. Strengths-based performance management conversations in regular check-in meetings, not only once a year, between manager and staff should include the following questions. Which of your strengths would you like to spend more time on? By what activities were you recently strengthened? What project would you like to chair or be involved in that would speak more to your strengths? Which activities would you like to be steered away from because they drain you? And finally, how can I, as your manager, help you capitalizing on your strengths in completing or planning your work? Strengths are critical in emergencies all over the world, such as conflict, floods, earthquakes, etc. because you have to act now in order to save lives. You cannot afford to wait until tomorrow. Knowing immediately the complementary strengths of every team member makes it so much easier for a manager to make life-saving decisions at the time they are needed. Strengths are, of course, very critical in recruitment and attracting high-caliber staff. When people have several job opportunities, many will want to join a strengths-based organization. Particularly younger employees are driven more towards employers who genuinely care about their growth. That is often more important for them than the level of pay. In our office, every employee is offered the Strengths Finder with subsequent strengths coaching with one of our internal strengths coaches. Strengths are important in retention. When staff realize the organization keeps investing in their talents and allows them to spend more time in their job on their strengths and promote strengths-based teams, they are more likely to want to stay in the organization. To combining strengths with appreciative inquiry can be very powerful because both build on what is already available that can be used effectively and productively. And of course, strengths have a strong impact on teams. We cannot do anything alone. All our work gets done through teams. Mutual strengthening with complementary strengths is critical. The best teams are those teams with teammates who depend and rely on each other thanks to their complementary strengths. This applies to the best orchestras in the world. And of course also in sports, for example in football. 10 Pelés, 10 Maradonas, 10 Bobby Charltons will not win a game. You need a variety of players with distinctive and different strengths to be successful. And the very same phenomenon applies to teams in our organizations. Thank you.